Scrolling through history, we realize that the human perception of the world correlates with the contemporary knowledge. Often, this knowledge is an extension of the lessons learnt from past events, social context, and the experience of a revolution, either intellectual or technological. These revolutions sporadically trigger an acute impact in our lifestyle, leading to shifts in our paradigms. Since the first industrial revolution, these changes have been so abrupt that within the time frame of one generation we lose track of the old ways, and our ancestors' stories become almost unimaginable. If this trend was already an obvious reality, unforeseen global events such as the current pandemic from COVID-19 and a modern version of the Cold War pushed us even further. Consequently, and concomitantly with the dawn of 4.0 industries, the development of technologies related to communication and sensors are skyrocketing. Logically, information underlies many aspects of our quotidian and plays a central role in modern society and its progression. Yet, if we take a step back and ask ourselves, what is information? Or what does it mean? Most of us will struggle to find a trivial and appropriate answer to these questions. However, when asked, is information important? The intuitive answer seems to be yes. Then, why is information so difficult to define while seemingly being so important? From the universe around us down to our genetic library or genome and history books, information exists in many forms and can be obtained in many ways. In fact, all living beings and viruses possess some kind of sensors that help them to assure prevalence. In our case, 5 senses, body position, and balance sensors are crucial for us to analyze the surrounding environment and adapt to it. For millennia, we relied solely on these ancestral tools to thrive, while basing our actions on instinctive reactions. The amazingness of these inbuilt capabilities is undeniable. However, a swift change in human evolution started when we expanded beyond our biological intricacies, taming fire using tools domesticating dogs, or inventing agriculture. As a species, these adaptations twisted the course of our history, marking the transition from nomadism to settle as societies. Even though it may feel far-fetched, our ability to gather and analyze information endowed us with the skill to adapt and overcome many sorts of challenges. Nevertheless, understanding and adaptation were just the first steps. After all, many animals also possess these capabilities. Thus, to assure our progress, the next step was to learn how to communicate and store that information, ensuring it can reach our peers and further generations. Once suggested as Homo stupidus, Neanderthals living in the Iberian Peninsula, around 115,000 years ago, were the first to solve this charade by craving petroglyphs and pictographs using marine shells. Either intended to be depicted as art or a way to communicate, it is indeed fascinating that our ancestors almost all around the globe swiftly felt the need to develop tools to engrave their traditions and behaviors while making their history prevail. For millennia, humanity's basis of communication was primitive languages and unsophisticated drawings. Intuitively, languages evolved as social Darwinistic tools influenced by Herbert Spencer to provide better and more reliable ways to communicate and express complex ideas. However, despite the amazingness of our brains, human memory is critically flawed. In our brains, storage and retrieval of information is often a simultaneous process, and therefore, one can critically influence the other. Thus, relying merely on mouth-to-mouth communication was untrustworthy. Invented independently at least 4 times throughout human history, full writing systems are the ultimate tool to fairly dissociate the processes of storage from retrieval of information. Henceforward, information could be stored in a perpetual and immutable fashion. One of the oldest manuscripts, around 2,500 years old, containing valuable insights that are still relevant in modern society, is The Art of War from Sun Tzu. Interestingly, it is worth noting that the author emphasizes the importance of collecting good and reliable information, and therefore stresses the central role of spies. Far from those military teachings, a similar thought process can be applied in other contexts of our daily lives, such as biology and medicine. Thereby, as a product of human evolution and through the exploitation of modern tools like information technology, in this thesis, I will focus on the war against other types of enemies, such as diseases, by means of developing white hat spies for temperature, genetic and metabolic processes denominated as biosensors.